How good is your history knowledge? Test yourself with this 40-question quiz and see how many you can get right. Stay until the end and comment your score to challenge others. Ready? Let's begin. What was the main cause of World War I? Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, invasion of Poland, or sinking of the Lusitania? Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Did you know the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in 1914 triggered the start of World War I? What treaty officially ended World War I? Treaty of Versailles, Treaty of Paris, or Treaty of Brest-Litovsk? Treaty of Versailles. Did you know the Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended World War I and imposed harsh penalties on Germany? Which countries were part of the Axis powers during World War II? Germany, Italy, Japan, France, United Kingdom, Soviet Union, or United States, Canada, Australia? Germany, Italy, Japan. Did you know the Axis powers were led by Nazi Germany, Fascist Italy, and Imperial Japan during World War II? What event triggered the start of World War II? Invasion of Poland, attack on Pearl Harbor, or Battle of Stalingrad? Invasion of Poland. Did you know Germany's invasion of Poland in 1939 led Britain and France to declare war, marking the start of World War II? What treaty ended World War II in Europe? Treaty of Versailles, Treaty of Paris, or German Instrument of Surrender? German Instrument of Surrender. Did you know the German Instrument of Surrender was signed on May 7, 1945, marking the end of World War II in Europe? Which international organization was created after World War II to promote peace and security? United Nations, NATO, or European Union? United Nations. Did you know the United Nations was established in 1945 to prevent future conflicts and promote international cooperation? Which treaty ended the Korean War in 1953? Treaty of Peace, Panmunjom Armistice Agreement, or Paris Peace Accords? Panmunjom Armistice Agreement. Did you know the Panmunjom Armistice Agreement of 1953 ended active combat in the Korean War, though a peace treaty was never signed? What was the purpose of the Marshall Plan after World War II? Rebuild Europe's economies, create the European Union, or promote communism? Rebuild Europe's economies. Did you know the Marshall Plan, implemented by the U.S. in 1948, provided economic aid to Western Europe to help rebuild after World War II? What was the main reason for the Cold War? Ideological conflict between the Soviet Union and the United States, economic competition between the U.S. and Japan, or religious differences between the U.S. and Europe? Ideological conflict between the Soviet Union and the United States. The Cold War was a period of political and military tension between the United States and the Soviet Union, marked by nuclear arms races and proxy wars. What treaty ended the Vietnam War in 1973? Paris Peace Accords, Treaty of Versailles, or Geneva Accords? Paris Peace Accords. Did you know the Paris Peace Accords, signed in 1973, ended direct U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War and resulted in a ceasefire? What conflict was the United States involved in between 1950 and 1953? Korean War, Gulf War, or Vietnam War? Korean War. Did you know the Korean War began in 1950 when North Korea, backed by China and the Soviet Union, invaded South Korea? Which agreement officially ended the American Civil War in 1865? Treaty of Paris, Emancipation Proclamation, or Appomattox Courthouse Surrender? Appomattox Courthouse Surrender. Did you know General Robert E. Lee's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse in 1865 marked the end of the American Civil War? What treaty marked the end of the Napoleonic Wars? Treaty of Paris, Treaty of Versailles, or Congress of Vienna? Congress of Vienna. Did you know? The Congress of Vienna in 1815 restructured Europe after Napoleon's defeat and redrew national borders. What event triggered the start of World War I? Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, invasion of Poland, or sinking of the Lusitania? Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Did you know? The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo in 1914 set off a chain of events that led to World War I. What treaty ended the Russo-Japanese War in 1905? Treaty of Portsmouth, Treaty of Paris, or Treaty of Brest-Litovsk? Treaty of Portsmouth. Did you know? The Treaty of Portsmouth, mediated by U.S. President Theodore Roosevelt, ended the Russo-Japanese War and marked Japan as a rising power. What was the primary goal of the League of Nations after World War I? To maintain world peace, to promote economic cooperation, or to manage colonial territories? To maintain world peace. Did you know? The League of Nations was created in 1920 after World War I to promote peace and prevent future conflicts, though it failed to prevent World War II. Which treaty officially ended the American Revolution? Treaty of Paris 1783, Treaty of Versailles, or Treaty of Ghent? Treaty of Paris 1783. Did you know? The Treaty of Paris in 1783 officially ended the American Revolution, recognizing American independence from Great Britain. What was the primary purpose of the United Nations after its formation in 1945? To prevent future wars and promote peace, to establish a global economy, or to control nuclear weapons? To prevent future wars and promote peace. Did you know? The United Nations was established in 1945 with the goal of preventing future global conflicts and promoting human rights. What treaty ended the War of the Spanish Succession in 1713? Treaty of Utrecht, Treaty of Versailles, or Treaty of Paris? Treaty of Utrecht. Did you know? The Treaty of Utrecht ended the War of the Spanish Succession, redistributing territory in Europe and marking the rise of Britain as a naval power. What conflict ended with the signing of the Camp David Accords in 1978? Egypt-Israel War, Iran-Iraq War, or Six-Day War? Egypt-Israel War. Did you know? The Camp David Accords, brokered by U.S. President Jimmy Carter, led to a peace agreement between Egypt and Israel. Which conflict was resolved with the signing of the Treaty of Paris in 1898? Spanish-American War, Crimean War, or Franco-Prussian War? Spanish-American War. Did you know? The Treaty of Paris in 1898 ended the Spanish-American War and resulted in Spain ceding territories to the U.S., including Puerto Rico and the Philippines. Which treaty was signed to officially end World War II in the Pacific? Treaty of Peace, Potsdam Agreement, or Japanese Instrument of Surrender? Japanese Instrument of Surrender. Did you know? The Japanese Instrument of Surrender was signed on September 2, 1945, officially ending World War II in the Pacific. What treaty officially ended the First Indochina War? Geneva Accords, Paris Peace Accords, or Treaty of Versailles? Geneva Accords. Did you know? The Geneva Accords, signed in 1954, ended the First Indochina War and temporarily divided Vietnam into North and South. Which treaty ended the Anglo-Zulu War of 1879? Treaty of Versailles, Treaty of Utrecht, or Peace of Ulundi? Peace of Ulundi. Did you know? The Battle of Isandlwana, a major Zulu victory, occurred before the signing of the Peace of Ulundi, which ended the Anglo-Zulu War. What was the main goal of the Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494? To divide the New World between Spain and Portugal. To settle territorial disputes between France and England. or to establish trade routes to India. To divide the New World between Spain and Portugal. Did you know? The Treaty of Tordesillas divided the newly discovered lands outside Europe between Spain and Portugal along a meridian. What was the outcome of the Treaty of Nanjing in 1842? Hong Kong was ceded to Britain. China gained Taiwan. Or Japan opened its ports to trade. Hong Kong was ceded to Britain. Did you know? The Treaty of Nanjing ended the First Opium War and marked the beginning of the unequal treaties between China and Western powers. What treaty ended the War of 1812 between the United States and Britain? Treaty of Paris, Treaty of Ghent, or Treaty of Versailles? Treaty of Ghent. Did you know? The Treaty of Ghent, signed in 1814, ended the War of 1812 and restored territorial boundaries to their pre-war status. Which peace agreement brought an end to the Israeli-Egyptian conflict in 1979? Camp David Accords, Oslo Accords, or Geneva Convention? Camp David Accords. Did you know? The Camp David Accords were brokered by U.S. President Jimmy Carter, resulting in Egypt becoming the first Arab country to recognize Israel. What was the primary goal of the Treaty of Westphalia in 1648? To end the 30 Years' War and establish territorial borders in Europe. To end the Napoleonic Wars. Or to establish the United Nations. To end the 30 Years' War and establish territorial borders in Europe. The Treaty of Westphalia is often considered the foundation of modern international law, setting precedents for the sovereignty of states. What was the main effect of the Treaty of Versailles on Germany? It imposed heavy reparations and territorial losses. It united Germany and Italy. Or it expanded Germany's territory. It imposed heavy reparations and territorial losses. Did you know? The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, placed full blame for World War I on Germany and led to economic and territorial hardships. What was the goal of the Helsinki Accords in 1975? To improve relations between the Soviet Union and the West. To establish the European Union. Or to end the Korean War. To improve relations between the Soviet Union and the West. The Helsinki Accords were a major diplomatic agreement that aimed to improve relations between Eastern and Western blocs during the Cold War. What was the result of the Treaty of Paris in 1763? France ceded Canada to Britain. Spain gained Florida. Or the U.S. gained independence. France ceded Canada to Britain. Did you know? The Treaty of Paris in 1763 ended the 7 Years' War, with France ceding Canada to Britain and Spain losing Florida. What was the purpose of the NATO alliance formed in 1949? To provide collective defense against the Soviet Union. To promote economic cooperation in Europe. Or to establish a new international trade system. To provide collective defense against the Soviet Union. Did you know? NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, was created in 1949 as a military alliance between North America and Europe to counter Soviet expansion. Which treaty ended the Franco-Prussian War in 1871? Treaty of Paris, Treaty of Frankfurt, or Treaty of Versailles? Treaty of Frankfurt. Did you know? The Treaty of Frankfurt officially ended the Franco-Prussian War and led to the unification of Germany under Prussian leadership. Which event triggered the start of World War I? Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, invasion of Poland, or sinking of the Lusitania? Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Did you know? The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary in 1914 triggered the start of World War I. What was the main goal of the Treaty of Paris in 1783? To recognize American independence, to end the Napoleonic Wars, or to divide Spain's colonies? To recognize American independence. Did you know? The Treaty of Paris in 1783 officially ended the American Revolution and recognized the United States as an independent nation. What did the Geneva Conventions primarily address? The treatment of prisoners of war and civilians, the establishment of peace treaties, or the trade of goods between nations? The treatment of prisoners of war and civilians. Did you know? The Geneva Conventions are a series of treaties that set international standards for humanitarian treatment during war. What was the result of the Treaty of Portsmouth in 1905? Russia lost territory to Japan. The US gained independence. Or France gained colonies in Africa. Russia lost territory to Japan. Did you know? The Treaty of Portsmouth, mediated by US President Theodore Roosevelt, ended the Russo-Japanese War and saw Russia lose territory to Japan. Which treaty brought an end to the Franco-American War in 1800? Treaty of Paris, Treaty of Montefontaine, or Treaty of Versailles? Treaty of Montefontaine. Did you know? The Treaty of Montefontaine ended the Franco-American War in 1800 and restored peace between France and the United States. What was the main objective of the Camp David Accords? Peace between Israel and Egypt, end the Korean War, or establish a European Union? Peace between Israel and Egypt. Did you know? The Camp David Accords, brokered by US President Jimmy Carter, led to a peace agreement between Israel and Egypt in 1979. Thank you. See you next time. Goodbye.